Hello everybody. This video today is for my friends that are just starting to realize that they need to work on themselves. This is for my people that are miserable, depressed, have anxiety, and they're starting to get sick of it. I've said this in other videos, but life is not supposed to be this way. And I want to cover 2 points with you in this video today. This one might not be easy to hear, but I'm always going to tell you the truth. I was you a little over 8 years ago. And back then, I was unhappy. I didn't much like myself. I was depressed, had anxiety. I was overall very miserable. You get the picture. But I knew something was wrong. It was just below the surface. But I had a lot to face inside of myself, and so do you. You're starting to realize that. And I've got some good news, bad news for you. But hear me out, please, because there is good news. No matter what you do going forward from this point, whether it's option 1 or option 2, you are going to feel a lot worse. But wait, hear me out. I told you there's 2 options. The first point I'm going to cover is you must face your trauma. You must face your depression, your anxiety. You must face your misery. You must face it or it gets worse. Option number 2 is when you start facing your trauma, when you first start healing, it gets worse before it gets better. And it can be very challenging. But these are the only 2 paths you have going forward right now. You either face it or it gets worse. So if you don't face it, your misery, your life experience is going to degrade and get worse. Or you do face it and it does get worse before it gets better. So if either way, the challenging experience is going to get worse, you might as well choose the one, or if you keep working, it gets better. So why does your pain and trauma and depression get worse if you don't face it? This may sound obvious, but I'll cover a couple of quick points. Anything we do makes a neural pathway in our brain and it makes a deeper habit. So the longer you go on with self-destructive thoughts, self-destructive actions, negative life patterns, the deeper they are going to get wired into your brain. The deeper the habit, the more difficult it is going to be to do something else. So if you don't face it, it literally gets worse. It gets harder to unwire. You always can unwire it, but it gets harder every day, week, month that goes by. So the best time to stop is now. Here's another reality. And I don't like to press on this one too much because you don't want a negative motivation to move forward. But time is moving forward. And if you start working on yourself today, you will be amazed on how far you can be a year from now if you start today being curious, seeking help, taking in good material. But think about it this way. Whether you start working on yourself, your emotional injuries, or you don't, 1 year is going to pass 365 days from today. Either way, that time's going to pass. And the more time that passes before you start working on it, I can tell you from experience, that's going to hurt more. Another analogy is your pain is leading you in the wrong direction. If this is a good life and this is a bad life, not facing your trauma and your pain is driving the car in this direction. Every day that goes by and you keep repeating the same habits, you go further down the wrong road. So if you don't face it, if you don't turn the car around and start going in the right direction, it gets worse. There's nothing you can do about the past. The best time to start working on yourself is today. The more time that goes by, the more regret you will face. Now let's talk about the flip side of that. It sounded bad, but it has a happy ending. It gets worse before it gets better. So if you start working on yourself today, you start reaching out for help, you start taking in good material, you are sick of being sick, it is going to get a little worse before it gets better. I like the analogy of thinking that there's a big sharp thorn stabbed into your rib. It's infected, it's got a scab over it, it's kind of healed incorrectly, and you've got a bunch of layers over it, a couple of shirts, a sweater, a hoodie. So you don't really see it, you don't interact with it minute by minute, but it's there. There's a low, dull pain throughout your day that you've somewhat gotten used to. And of course, if anybody bumps into it, oh my God, it hurts. We can get triggered emotionally and we can have breakdowns. But imagine that emotional pain that's there, we have to deal with it. We have to pull the layers up, the hoodies, the shirts. We have to see the wound. We're going to have to pull that thorn out. Oh my God, that hurts. That dull pain is going to be sharp and fiery for a moment. Then we have to put antiseptic in it to get rid of the infection. Then we're going to have to put new bandages over it. And we're going to have to look at it every once in a while to make sure it's clean and healing. In the short term, there is going to be some pain there to reveal our misery, to clean it up, to get rid of the rot, to get rid of the sickness. So it has to get a little worse before it gets better. But when you do that, it will heal. The infection goes away. Pain will go away. There won't be that constant low-level pain always there. When people bump into it, you won't feel it. Another reason why it gets worse before it gets better, which is similar to the analogy, is you're not even fully aware of all the pain you have stored up in your subconscious mind. It's there, whether you pretend it is there or not, and it is dictating your life. It's making you sad. It's making you depressed. It's making you not value yourself. You're living a smaller life. You're scared because of it. So don't tell me it's not dictating and crushing your life, but it's hidden in your subconscious and you're not seeing or dealing with it directly. So it's kind of easy to ignore or pretend it's not there. Or hell, it may be deep enough where you really don't notice it day to day, but it's there. And the reason why it gets worse before it gets better, because with the right help, in the right context, in the right mindset, you have to be brave. And you have to go inside of yourself and you have to look in the closet of your mind and you have to see these monsters. You have to interact with them. You have to acknowledge them. It's going to sound crazy, but you have to listen to them. You have to see their point of view. And it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. You might have to cry a lot. And when you've gone through the right steps and you've done the healing you need to and you accept your past and those parts of you, you will get better. So that's just the warning I would have loved to hear at the beginning of my healing journey. From this day forward, if you ignore your pain or if you go towards healing, you're going to face more pain no matter what. If you don't face it, it gets worse, and I explain why. And that is a terrible fate that you don't deserve. And you can't face it today, that's okay. But no, the sooner you're able to be brave and face it, the better. Also, when you start to face your pain, it gets worse before it gets better. I will not lie to you. You have hidden scars. You have hidden injuries. You have hidden scary things in your subconscious mind. And to truly heal, you're going to have to go into the dark cave of your subconscious mind. And you're going to have to face those things. But when you do, you're setting yourself for the ultimate reward. A life where you don't have depression, anxiety, you don't hate yourself, you don't hate the people around you. You can start to feel good in your own body. And I know this sounds insane because I never would have believed it in the past. But someday you could actually really truly love yourself. All right, everybody. I hope that was helpful to somebody. Have a great day.